Hey, book club besties.
From Scrubs to Book Club, we're two burnt out healthcare workers who love to yap about books. I'm Katy.
I'm Star, and welcome to Aimless Attention Podcast.
Today, we are back in our Harkness shirts because it is time to talk about Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. This is almost overcoming my favorite book, Deep End.
Almost. There's no way.
Almost. Okay.
No way.
Here's the thing. Spoiler alert for the STEMinist series, primarily Not in Love, Deep End, and obviously Problematic Summer Romance, because those are our three, and a little bit of love theoretically. And a little bit of love on the brain, actually. Everything but Bride and Mate, I think, are the only two.
It's like all of them except for Bride and Mate.
And maybe Love Hypothesis. I don't think I have a tie to that one either. But this book the audiobook is so freaking good on this.
The audiobook, oh my God. When he speaks, you're just like,
oh, the Irish accent and the girl who does Maya. She's my favorite, I think. She's the way she is so expressive through everything. And oh my God, I love this audiobook. I will go through and I'll just I know which chapters I like, so I'll just go in and listen to those chapters in the audiobook. I do the same thing for Deep End. Those are just two fantastic audiobooks. But this is going to follow Conor Harkness and Maya Kilgore. So if you're on YouTube, you may notice that I have a notebook. I posted about this on our Instagram story. I spent 3 hours going through Not in Love and Problematic Summer Romance to find out the specific timeline.
She's a sicko.
I don't have other things to do with my life, apparently. The timeline of Maya and Hart getting together and things that happen in Not in Love that tie into where they're at in Problematic Summer Romance in their flashbacks, particularly the events of why Conor would be acting in that way in them. And I kind of mentioned this in Not in Love, that there's a scene that I specifically was like, I bet that this is that flashback. And I think I was correct, if I'm doing my math correctly on all of these. So
Katie's talked about this a lot, so some of this I probably already know.
So this podcast is going to go slightly different. We will talk about the book in general and kind of go through the plot. However, I have a whole fucking list that we're going to go through.
List.
So let's start with the timeline of events, and then we can kind of backtrack and go through their time in Sicily.
Sounds good.
All right. So we meet Maya and Not in Love. We also know that when she turned 17, she wanted to get the fuck out of Texas, and she moved to Edinburgh.
Yes.
And she goes there for college. She's at St. Andrews University there. And we meet Conor and Maya together for the first time. That's outside of just kind of being in the friend group when she's 20 years old. This is 3 years, 2 months, and 3 weeks earlier when in the flash.
I feel bad for people. Okay, keep going.
So we are starting Problematic Summer Romance. They are getting married in early June. So we're in the first couple weeks of June. This means that this first interaction we have with Maya and Hark is mid-March 3 years ago. So Maya tries to call her brother Eli because she just got broken up with by Alfie, which is her first long-term boyfriend she's ever had. Alfie got with one of her best friends and roommate, Georgia, and it was very obvious that they had been sleeping together beforehand. But while they were still together. So she tries to call Eli. She's in tears. Eli's phone forwarded to Hark. Yes. And she's just trying to get there, and he hears Maya, but he hears Myers because that's what Eli's in Australia to go finish up the Myers deal. And so he starts going off about why the fuck are you he's already coming. I don't know why you're calling me, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, I don't know why you're being so mean to me. Why are you talking? And he's just like, who is this? And she's like, Maya Kilgore. And he's like, oh. Why are you calling me? She's like, I'm not trying to call you. I'm trying to call Eli. Okay. I just want to talk to my brother. And he's like, well, you can't. He's on a plane. And she's like, well, figure out a way for me to call Eli. And he's like, I can't do that because he's on a plane and all of his calls are forwarding to me. And she's just like, fine, I'll just hang up, whatever. And so they start talking. And I took a picture of one of the conversations because I love the way that Conor talks is so funny to me. Because and the way she says that, she's trying to hang up on him and say goodbye to him, and he's like, no, tell me why you're crying. And she's like, he says, tell me why the hell you're crying so we can establish that it's just a load of inconsequential shite and I can hang up a call with a clean soul. And she says, okay, first of all, your soul has never been anything but coal smeared. I bet you burned ants with magnifying glasses when you were a toddler back during the Protestant Reformation.
Oh my God.
And then he said, that is patently libelous and I do not deserve. And then she cuts him off and explains why she's crying. And he's like, So apparently that's not a load of inconsequential shite. That's actually like a major thing that happened to you.
Yes.
So sorry about that. And they kind of talk for a little bit, and she's just like, I'm hanging up now. This is thoroughly embarrassing, and I'm leaving. She turns her phone off, goes to the library, and just tries to like work on homework or something just to avoid going home to the roommate who definitely Alfie is there with.
I mean,
And
how you missed that? Obviously, you didn't care. Like,
when she gets back to her apartment, Connor is in her apartment, and it's like, hey, I got that text from you. I just had to get here. And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, remember when we were on a vacation last year? And Alfie's like, we were on a couple's vacation when that happened. And so she's, first of all, she's like, well, how do you even know about that? Like, and then he's like, yeah, you know, we were in a bar and you told me you had a boyfriend, but you know, if anything ever happened, you would give me, like, I tried to give you my number and stuff. And she's like, oh yeah, I remember that. And then Alfie's like, what the fuck do you mean you remember that? And Connor plays it up that they're together, and then she pulls him into her room because she's like, okay, I'm taking this on. And then she like leans against the door and she's like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. And then he like comes up, puts his palms on either side of her head, starts pushing on the door, and she's like, what are you doing? And then the rhythm like increases, and she's like, oh my God. And then she like hears the door slam and stuff, and Connor like does a couple more hard slams and is like, all right, we did our thing.
oh my God.
And he ends up staying the night. He's looking at her bed, and she's like, I mean, she's like, we can't really fit on a twin. She's like, you look like you're considering it. He's like, he's like, does your bed pull out? Like, is there more to it? And she's like, no. Like, and he's like looking around her room and stuff. And that's when he first kind of sees her as a person other than Eli's little sister. And he ends up staying the night on her floor, and she convinces him to go to breakfast with her the next morning. And that's when all of the Edinburgh stuff goes down. They go to breakfast. They have a really nice time. They like go sit on the edge of the river and watch the rowers, and they like talk about how he was a former rower and all this kind of stuff. He's gonna fly home that night, and then she ends up. We're talking about all the Edinburgh stuff first, just so you know.
No, I know where you're at. I'm like, I'm not chiming in on this.
But they have like a really nice full day together, and she gets a text while they're at breakfast. That's from her friend Sammy, who's an American. And he's like, hey, you still coming to my birthday party? You can bring Connor if you want. And she's like, fuck. And she's like, you don't have to come. And he's like, I'll come. Sure. So he shows up and he's there. And I think this is also one of the times where she was like, well, why didn't you? She's like, did you come to my graduation when Eli invited you? And he was like, I would rather shit in my hands and clap than go to the high school graduation of a girl I barely know. Like, just the one-liners from Connor crack me up. And he said that he ends up getting surrounded by like Alfie and all his buddies. One of them tries to sell him like an idea because he's a biotech investor. So they're trying to sell him an idea for a dating app for adult diaper wearers. And Maya's like, I knew that guy was a fucking weirdo. Like, and then Alfie corners him and is like, you're the pervert. And he's like, what do you mean? Because he's 15 years older than them. Or Alfie's 2 years older than Maya, and then he's 15 years older than Maya. And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, you could be her dad.
They're 15 years older.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, sure. I'm glad you like have so much. He's like, I'm glad you think so highly of my game at 14.
I know, right? That's why I'm like,
kid.
Good job, man. Good job. I mean, it could happen. I do know kids, but that's savage right there. Like,
yeah. And they get told off, and Maya's like, you know, if anyone's the pervert, it's you. Or like,
I mean, adult diapers, you know.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't Alfie. It was one of her
running
friends.
Around, you know.
But they have like a really nice night. She gets a bit drunk, and he takes her back to the Balmoral that he's staying at, because of course he's staying at the Balmoral.
Got that kind of money.
And I know. And so she's like, can I lay in your bed? And he's like, there's 2 beds, whatever you want to do. So she like plops down to the bed, falls asleep. She throws up. And he like helps like pull her hair back and rubs her back and stuff. And they have some like, while they're at the bar, there's like some touches and like some little moments together where he's like kind of being a little intimate with her. And of course they've had like this whole really nice time getting to know each other, and they both realize that this is a person they can really easily open up with. I love how this is just going to be me telling you.
I'm enjoying every bit of it. I'm like, guys, you don't want me to get involved in this? Katie's got a whole notepad, and I'm looking at it going, it's got like years and shit. Like, I have nothing to input on this.
I'm going to be impressed if I can read half of my handwriting, though, because it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. My eyes are blurring. I'm like, and then who said this?
That's why I'm over here. Like, I keep looking over like, okay, I know where we are. All right.
And so, yeah, they go back to the Balmoral, and then she throws up. She falls asleep. He like takes care of her, and then she wakes up. It's like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And she walks out and he's in just low swung sweats. And she had thrown on
Listen
his
to the audio,
t-shirt.
ladies.
Oh, yes.
And those gentlemen that like that.
And he's talking on the phone about some deal. He sees her, immediately turns his phone off and is like, hey, like, how are you feeling and stuff? And then she's like, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm told there's this thing going on between us. So she like hugs him. And then she like tries to kiss him and he's like, that's not a good idea. We're not doing that. And then more stuff happens. And then eventually she says like, I get it. Like, whatever. I'm not smart enough or pretty enough. Like, whatever. And stuff. She's like, you don't want me. And he's like, of course I want you. And she's just like, and he's like, or he says, I don't want you. And she's like, I can see that you want me. It's in the sweats. So I can see it.
It's in the sweats. That's why gray sweats are so good.
The gray sweats. And he's like, fuck. And then he ends up slamming her up against the wall and puts his thigh in between her legs and grinds her on his leg until she comes. Something about Maya is that she finds her climax super easily. Something also about Maya is she goes to sleep almost instantaneously every time that she comes.
Was it you and I that were talking about this on a different podcast?
Yes, because I asked you if you orgasm, do you go to sleep or do you wake up? And you said it depends on the orgasm.
It does depend on the orgasm. Some of those mind-blowing ones that are like, holy shit, you're just like...
My body's like, what are we doing next? Every time. It doesn't matter how big or small. My body's like, let's get going.
It's not how big or small. It's that like it's been mind-numbing fucking sex for however long, and then it's like the explosion hits, and you're just like, all right, I'm out.
I know my body still every time I'm like, let's do this. We're awake for the day.
Fuck that.
I will be exhausted.
This is why Katie's a morning person.
I'm not a morning person.
That.
I'm a middle of the night person, and then my body's like, let's fucking go.
No, fuck. Oh God, no.
No, my husband's always like, if I have to get up the next morning, he's like, are you sure you want to do this tonight? Because I know you're going to be awake for hours after this. Oh, my God. I tell you guys too much information.
I was just thinking, like, oh, my God. I had so many thoughts to that. I was just thinking, like, and then I got a bunch of writing done.
Well, literally. I would like, okay, let's go read
because I would fucking
get
around. I would kick you out. I'd be like, bitch, I'm done. I did.
It's a good thing I own my house and I live in the house with my husband.
Your husband's like, going to bed now.
Well, he does. And then, like, he'll kind of look at me because sometimes I don't want to sit there and talk to him because I'm just like, la, 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 la. And he's like looking at me and I can tell he's like, I want to go to sleep. But yeah, so she has like the most numbingly experience with this orgasm. And then she's like, come lay on the bed with me. And he's like, okay. And he's like, she's like, we can do this. Like, and he stops her hand when he goes to reach for her and she tries to kiss him and he avoids it again. And he's like, after, just sleep now. And then when she wakes up, he's gone. And so we find out later that Conor was seriously debating just waking her up because he's like, it would be the best she's ever had. And she was like, it would have been. Like, I've been with
fucking
like
cocky.
We also learned that Maya did have, so one of the things is when they're in her bedroom, she's like, I am an adult. Like, I have had sex. And she pulls out her sex toy drawer and he looks at it like, oh, wow. Okay. Not 14. Got it. And because when he called, he's like, you're 13. She's like, I've not been 13 for a long time.
Though. Like, you're 12. Stop talking.
That's
to
exactly, you are Conor Harkness. I'm just like, he's 24. And you're like, no, he's 12.
Every time he talks.
But they have, again, he's seeing her in a new light than he ever has before with all of this.
Look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but he's not wrong, okay?
No.
When you see this child, grown or not, as a grown adult, you're still like, no, you're 12. Like, my kids still show up sometimes, and I'm like, when did you get to be 20? Like, what the fuck did I... Like, my niece was drinking the other day, and I was like, what are you doing?
And Conor says, like, she was the most beautiful girl he'd ever seen when he sees her. Because he hasn't seen her again since she was, like, a teenager. Yeah. And he sees her at 20 and is like, oh, no, this is not good. And he also has problems with it because his dad was super into young girls.
Oh,
He's like, I don't want to be my dad. I'm not doing this.
I don't think it's the same, though.
No, but so Conor leaves and she stays at the hotel for like another night. She like rage orders room service, but then she's like, it doesn't fucking matter because he has so much money. It doesn't even like, it's not going to make a dent. So then a few days later is when we get the first phone call because she ends up getting a package with a bread machine in it. And she's like, why did I get a bread machine? And then the roommate's like, oh, it's probably because you love fresh bread. And she's like, I did say I love fresh bread, but it was like a random passing note. So this is when we know Conor has been paying attention when she talks.
I love those men.
Mm-hmm. And that's when we get the first phone call where she's like, you don't have to send me gifts. He's like, we're keeping up the ruse. It's fine. It's more than a ruse for Conor. And then several weeks later, she calls him in the middle of the night. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. And he wakes up and he sounds groggy. And she's like, oh, were you sleeping? And he's like, yeah, it's fine. And she's like, you can turn off your notifications and stuff and like silence your phone. And he's like, I gave you an emergency bypass. And she's like, oh. And she's like, well, why did you pick up? And he said, because you called. And I'm like, Conor Harkness. So that was
Katie's
mid-March.
all excited.
That was mid-March. On April 15th.
Just gonna get a lot of start gag laughing.
On April 15th, Maya accepts the UT Austin job. So when Conor was in her room, he could see that there were Post-it notes that were lined up on either side. And he was like, I can tell you didn't think Alfie was the one because you didn't consider Edinburgh at all.
Didn't.
And when I talked to Alfie, he already has a museum job lined up in the city you're in.
Yeah.
So you had no plans to stay around.
No.
You had considered a couple other places, but he was like, none of that was there. And he's like, but I could see the one. And she's like, well, how did you know which ones I was even considering? He's like, because the other ones were stacked in a pile you obviously hadn't touched in a while. And the other ones had the city skylines drawn on them.
Paying way too close attention.
I love this. This is why I'm like, Conor Harkness, the man that you are. But he also pisses me off
so much.
So that is our time in Edinburgh. 3 years earlier. This is early June. This is when we get the text messages between them where she's like, my mouth is super sore or super numb. And he's like, did you get another cavity? And she's like, yeah. Dentist wants me to use an electric toothbrush, but I'm terrified of them. Because like, what if the head pops off and then the little iron tip like digs into my cheek or something, or I swallow it? And he's like, that's not a thing. And then he sends her, and she's living in Austin at this point, and he sends her like a bunch of toothbrushes to try out.
Just to have such money to be like, here's a couple $100 in toothbrushes.
I also want to note in Not in Love, during this time frame when she's home in between her master's and her undergrad before she starts at UT, this is when Eli talks about how he's sitting in a set of swinging chairs that Maya had picked up and restored because she wanted just to do something to kind of relax her and stuff. And it is identical to an excuse that Conor gives when he ends up setting up the shelves for Maya. And I'll talk about that in a little bit later in the timeline. But he said he needed to do something to relax himself. 2 years, 4 months earlier, this is early February, Maya tries to hook up with a Tinder guy. And the deal was she made up this plan with Jade, was that she would call Conor an hour before she's supposed to meet up with this guy because that will turn her on. And then she'll go sleep with the guy just to get her rocks off and then move on. She calls Conor at the time she's planning, and then she doesn't stop talking to Conor. So she never makes it to the date. 2 years, 1 month earlier, we're in May. Maya talks about a fight with Jade, and Conor said he could never hate her because she's like, I hurt the people I love. That's who I explode on. She's like, I don't go up to like customer service agents and like throw a fit over something.
No, I'm the same way.
She's like, it's always the people I hurt. And he's like, it's natural to want to hurt people that hurt you too. And I love the way he talks to her because he always validates it. He's like, yeah, I understand you want to be better, but it's not an unreasonable thing for you to have an emotion about this.
Right.
And so she's like, well, do you think she'd hate me? And then he says, I could never hate you. But basically in his own Conor way, he says that.
In his Connery way.
So we're exactly 2 years earlier. And this was my prediction from when we were talking about Not in Love. We're in June. And in Not in Love, Hark is excited about the fact that they are near the end of the quarter, which is June 13th, in which they will own the patent that got stolen from them. Yes. Because they will acquire it. This is in that meeting. And this is where I got the timeline in Not in Love finally, is when they said June 13th. So this is super important because in that meeting, Minami and Soul, is that their name together is Tsunami. Minami and Soul are both looking at Eli like, if we get that patent, her patent's going to go. Like, Rue's patent is going to get sold off.
Yes.
And Eli's like, I have to stop this. Like, and he's like, I value my relationship with Rue and all of this that means to her more than I care about revenge. And at this point, Hark's like, this is the thing we've been working towards
For way too
for
long.
10 years.
Yeah.
We have been working for this. And this was my prediction. There's an iconic scene in Problematic Summer Romance, which is exactly 2 years before we see them in Taormina for their wedding, is she gets a drunk call from Conor, and he's super sad sounding. And she's like, well, why did you call? And he said, I just needed to listen to you exist. And he spends all of that time. She literally just has him on the phone while she like packs for a trip. She's going on a camping trip with Jade. And then that's when he goes and puts the bookshelves together, and he tells her that he tells her to have a good trip at the end of like all of their long packing time. So that phone call does perfectly line up for the time that he found out that his whole plan he's had for 10 years is now done.
Yes.
He is not getting that patent back. So that drunk phone call, not confirmed, but I believe confirmed.
I just love Katie's like, now she's flipping the page.
There's not even 2 full pages. We're almost done with the timeline, and then we can get into actual present day Taormina, Italy. 1 year, 11 months earlier, we are in July. And this is when we get the Antares conversation, where she talks about how it's her favorite star, and her dad used to talk to her about the stars and everything.
Okay.
And so that is going to be a big thing, that whenever he wants to distract her, he just says, oh, is that Antares? And she's like, we're having a conversation, Conor. And then, what is that word? Oh, okay. So just over a year ago, okay, so let's flip this. So 1 year, 4 months earlier, February, this is when when Maya is talking to him, and she's like, if you had to pick one of your brothers, like gun to your head, one of your brothers, which would you pick? And he's like, do you even know what a gun looks like? And he's like, which gun is it? And she's like, it's a rifle, like one that they used in like the old times. He's like, that doesn't make any sense. She's like, fine, I have a bat in my hand. What are you going to choose? And he says, swing with all your might, Trouble. And he calls her Trouble all the time. The big thing, Problematic Summer Romance, the word problematic and trouble are all brought up over and over and over again. And just over a year ago, Conor came over to find Eli for something important. It was pretty late at night. Maya is the only one home, and she's not wearing very much. And again, they have not met up in person since Edinburgh. This has been like they have been avoiding each other at this point. Conor's been avoiding her.
It was
more
like
than
they
anything.
have not been.
Conor has been avoiding her.
Has been
I
avoiding.
also want to point out that in Not in Love, Rue says, are Conor and Maya? And he's like, no, absolutely not. That's not. And she's like, okay. Like, Rue is totally like, if you're sure, whatever, man. She's like, he just has a crush. She just has a crush on him. It's not a thing.
I mean, when you're the brother, that's what you're hoping for.
Yeah. He's like, I can't
crossed.
handle the idea of those two
I
together.
don't know if I could have.
But anyways, Maya answers the door, and she's not wearing very much. And Conor's like, oh, God. And then he, like, leaves. He just turns around and leaves. And she's like, okay, bye.
I wish she would have done it like that. Oh, my God. Sorry.
We just get Conor.
Okay,
bye.
Oh, my God.
And then in this time frame, we get the epilogue for Not in Love, which is when Rue and Eli get engaged, which is about 1 year out from when Problematic Summer Romance starts. Then we hit 10 months, 2 weeks earlier. This is mid to late April. And they talk about falling in love. And he's like, Alfie was a guy, but it wasn't the guy. And
Yes.
they're talking about how he's like, I loved he was like, I really appreciated falling in love with Minami because it meant I could. Because he had spent so much time not knowing what love was. So he felt like, oh, finally he had someone that he could do this with. And he's like, I got to be the best parts of myself with and all this stuff. And she's like, it sounds like you put Minami on a pedestal. You just look at her like she's a glass figure. And she's like, and relationships aren't built on showing just the best parts of you.
No.
And he's like, I think they can be. And she's like, I don't think they are. And so that's kind of like their big like love conversation that they have. 2 weeks later, we're 10 months earlier in our current situation. This is 1 week before Kaida's christening. She gets a Zoom call with Jack Smith, who is from Love Theoretically, where she is interviewing for possibly going to a position in Switzerland. And this is, they see each other in person again. This is the first time since the incident where she answered the door that they see each other. They like make a couple jokes to each other at the church, and that's it. And then they like catch glances at the dinner table, and then they don't do anything after that. And then about a week later, after Kaida's christening, is when she gets the call from Conor where he's like really sullen. She's like, what's going on? Like, and then you can, while you're reading it, I love the way Allie Hazelwood wrote this, but you can see her like slowly losing confidence in this relationship that they've been building for the last 3 years. And he says, I'm going to start seeing a woman. And she's like, oh, well, why can't we keep talking then? And he's like, because, you know,
emotional is
he's like, it's hard to
still
explain what
cheating.
this is. And she's like, your ex is with Manami. That's got to be way worse than you just talking to a girl. And he's like, it's difficult to explain what this is. And she's like, well, that's because you like won't explain what this is. Like, you're not willing to accept that this is what it is. And so that's when she says, I love you. And he's like, no, you don't. And she's like, no, I'm in love with you, Conor. And she like gets really mad. And then she ends up hanging up on him, and he doesn't ever call her back. And that's when she responds to Jack Smith, and she goes to Switzerland for 10 months, or about 10 months. And then we also find out that Conor gives up drinking during this time, about the same time, because she asks him present day why he's like the only one not drinking. And he's like, I stopped doing that. And he's like, she's like, well, you weren't an alcoholic. He's like, no, but I needed it. And he's like, the only time I haven't really wanted to drink lately has been this last week. And she's like, when he's been with me. So
I said emotional affairs are still affairs.
Yeah. And that's
so like
when,
at least he was aware of that.
Yeah. And he was going to start dating Avery at that time. I have other notes on the ground that I'm looking at just to see what I have.
I liked Avery a little bit.
I like Avery a lot.
I'm kind of hoping she has her own story.
No, I wouldn't mind seeing Avery's story. I think she's really sweet. But I also would love to see Nyota. I think Nyota's a really fun character, and I would love to see something that kind of makes her hold on to something instead of just dinking around all the time.
I mean, I guess, yeah. There's a lot of people like that I wouldn't mind seeing like spin-off stories for. You could probably write a whole nother like series off of like one person. Like it can be like Nyota's, and we're going to have a whole story for them.
Mm-hmm. So that is my timeline of events. So when we meet Conor and Maya again at the beginning of this book, because this book does flashbacks over and over again, and we're flashing back to the present and back. And so we get to see the buildup of that emotional relationship that they had together, again, not seeing each other. So then the first thing we see is, well, first of all, Maya's talking to Jade, and she's like, I'm heavily considering not going to my brother's wedding because I'm going to have to see Conor. And again, she's one of the only people that calls Conor Conor. Everyone else calls him Hark. There's all of this stuff that no one else knows about because at one point, Conor had asked if they could tell everybody so that they could put a guardrail up in between them. And she said, I don't want anyone else knowing about this. I'm not ready to have this be a thing out there. And that's like a huge thing. Connor's like, I can protect myself. If other people find out about this, then I can just like say, oh, well, these people know, they don't think it's a good idea, so now I'll have to stay away. You know, he thinks it's a guardrail for them.
I get
and
it.
She's very like, no. So she does end up going to Sicily. The big issue is that they need to find a way to transport Tiny, the giant dog, who Rue is also now in love with, because they can't get married and not have Tiny there. So
no, their fur baby has to be in their wedding.
Yeah, so they end up going to Sicily, Taormina, Italy, and she flies in separately with Tiny.
I was going to say, she takes Tiny.
Yeah, she takes Tiny. She flies separately with them because there was a bunch of like weird airlines they had to go through and getting all the documents for the dog and everything going to a different country. And so she flies in, and then she sees a sign that's for, getting picked up at the airport, and she's getting picked up with Avery.
Avery's cute though. Like, okay, it could have been a lot worse. Like, I was really worried when we first get introduced. I was like, oh no.
Avery's so sweet, and
She
Avery
is
not malintentioned in any way. And Maya almost instantaneously recognizes this is the person that Conor broke up with her, like emotionally broke up with her.
Yeah,
for.
but it wasn't even just that I thought was funny about it. Was that when you meet Avery, you're like, part of you wants to fucking hate her.
Yeah.
Because you're like, this is the girl. Like, But then she starts talking, and even Miles like, I have to love you.
Yeah.
Like, I just have to love you. But it's like wrong. You don't want to love her. You want to be like, no, bad girl. You were in the way.
Exactly.
But you also understand the like.
Yeah, it's like as a reader, you're like, I want to hate this person because they're supposed to be together. But like in all reality, it was Connor's own fucking fault that all this happened. and
she's cute. And
Avery's
I was like,
really
damn
sweet.
it.
And Avery liked Conor. And it was just like, But yeah, so they ride together and they realize they both have the same like used up map that they've been marking up, that they want to go explore all these things because Maya loves traveling. Maya's a bit of a free spirit in a lot of ways. She even told Connor, she's like, I had a bit of a drug phase for a while. She's like, I lost my virginity on Molly. And he's like, why did you stop doing it? And then she's like, I had a few bad trips. One time I thought I had magnets underneath my skin. And she's like, and then I decided.
I don't think people that have never done drugs.
She said her head brain zapped for a month afterwards. She's like, I decided I wasn't going to have any more of that. That was kind of her trying to show I'm an adult. I've made adult decisions. So, you can stop treating me like I'm 12.
Yeah.
So she travels to the villa with Avery. This is Connor's family villa. We will find out later. His dad recently died, and that is a big thing. He mentions a lot to her is that, his whole family sucks.
Except for his stepmom.
Who he loves, Tamron. But she doesn't know Tamron's name. She just knows her as stepmom.
Yes.
So that also becomes another source of jealousy for her because Tamron is also there. And they're very close.
She's also young, too.
She's younger than Connor by like a few months.
Yeah, because I was like, his dad liked him. Yeah.
Yeah. And Maya even says, like, why do your family hate her? And he's like, because they think she's a gold digger who wanted his money. And she's like, oh, really? And he's like, yeah, probably because she's a gold digger who wanted his money. But he's like, she's a great person, and he fucking earned it. She should get his money because he was awful. And so he's there's kind of this background lawyer fight going on with him and Tamron and the brothers trying to make sure that she can hang on to it. So right now she has control over the real estate properties of his dad. And so they're staying at one of the villas there for the wedding. And there's a few people that are invited, like Axel and his brother, the dumb hockey player. They have Paul, who's there, who like kind of, he always talks about how he flirts with Maya, but also talks about how she threw up mac and cheese on him at one point. Manami and Sol and Kaida are there. So they show up at the villa.
I was trying to are we just naming people off? I was trying to figure out.
Like, what other names are here? There's this, it's a small party.
Very
there,
small.
Tisha's there.
But Rue doesn't like
big things. She wanted a small destination wedding.
Small destination wedding.
Yeah.
Plus they also were like, these were the people that will show up. Everybody else we can invite and they won't show
up. And
they
like flew people out. It wasn't like they had plenty of money, so they were helping everybody get out there and stuff. So anyways, Connor gets asked by Eli, hey, can you show her to your room? And then he's like, is this one fine? After he takes her there. And then she's like, I guess. And she's like trying to just like deal with the fact that she has to pretend like they're not like had this emotional.
It's been 2 years?
It's been about 10 months.
10 months.
Well, it's been 3 years. Longer. Well, it's been 3 years since that relationship started. And then 10 months since he broke it off.
Oh, okay. Now I get why I thought it was like.
Yeah. When Connor, she's like walking through like, I like this fresco. I wish I could take this rug home. Oh, that's a pretty shade of red. She's just naming anything off because she's like, this is so fucking awkward. I have to try to pretend like I don't have any interest in you right now.
Super side note. If this was you and you were in her situation, what would you do?
I would panic like that and I would probably start just jabbering.
See, you're so much better than me. Emotional control is so much better than me.
Here's the thing.
I would have thrown him against the wall, and I would have been the man in the situation, I'd have been like, tell me the truth.
Well, so here's what happens, though. They get up to her room, and then he's like, is this one fine? She's like, sure.
Yeah.
So then she goes in there, and then she's like setting her bags down, and then she realizes Connor walked in with her and closed the door.
Yeah.
And so then she's like, what's up?
No,
and he's
I know
like,
that
are you
this
on
happened,
drugs?
but I'm just saying, like, this would have been. I wouldn't have made it to the room, is what I'm getting at.
Oh, I see.
We would have gotten into the villa, and I would have slammed him against the wall. Like, I'm like very like, I need to know. I'm like super anxious.
I guess, but it's also been 10 months, and you haven't actually physically seen this person.
10 fucking months would have built up for me.
Oh, I know. I would have
been
been
like
raging.
Bubble, like, it would have been like the Hulk come out.
I would have been so mad.
I just couldn't. Like, every time I read that, I was like, dude, so much self-control. Like, no. We would have the door would have closed and I would have been like up against the wall, been like,
no. Oh my God.
I don't want to say I'm violent, but I'm like, I'm telling this and I'm like saying this and I'm thinking,
Connor's also a giant man and Maya's a very little human. But oh my God. So she's like, he's like, are you on drugs? And she's like, no, I'm not on drugs. And he's like, well, why are you acting so weird? She's like, what the fuck? Why do you think I'm acting weird, Connor? And
Avery's right here. You just
Avery's
brought me
here.
into the fucking head.
Yes.
Like, I mean, there's too many variables for this to like. She handled it better than me.
And Maya says, you were my best friend for 3 years, Connor, and I was yours.
Oh.
And I was just like, yes, Maya. Yes, Maya.
But that still wasn't like that's still self-control. I'm telling you, because I would have been
she's
like,
working on her anger.
I know, but I would have thrown him against the wall and been like, I know you love me, you piece of shit. Like I would have been. It would have been. She did so much better than
Oh my
me.
God, I was just like,
The whole time I was listening to that, and I was just like, she's so much nicer than me. I would have stabbed him. And been like,
yeah, so that's the first real like confrontation we get to have with them. And I
Yes.
liked that, even though we haven't, like, again, this is one of the first few chapters of this book. It's like
Yeah.
third chapter
Yeah.
or whatever. Is this first encounter. And I love that we immediately get Maya being like, what the fuck, Connor? Like, you don't talk to me for 10 months. And now you're like accusing me of how I'm going to behave. Like, fuck off, Connor.
Right.
And I love that about her. And then we kind of get to some stuff happens. We get to the first night where they're all having dinner together, and Maya's like, I just need to like take a break from all of this going on because like I can't with Connor being here and everything. And she's sitting there looking up at the stars and stuff. And Kaita's playing with her. She takes Kaita over to the side, and she's sitting on a bench. And then Connor comes and sits with her, and she's like,
no, because he loves her. I mean, oh God. But the boy, so many words.
I love Connor Harkness, but I hate Connor Harkness
I
at the same
do
time.
because like he does so many things that would have fucking like she like did not rage nearly as much as I would have. But
Yeah.
mostly because like stop playing with my feelings, like stop fucking with my emotions.
No, that's one thing I really don't like about him is that he really does fuck with her emotions.
I don't think he does it on purpose though. I think he
it's
really
because he can't control himself around her because he's not willing to acknowledge his own emotions.
Yeah.
And he has this like I can touch you, but you can't touch me
Yes,
little thing.
but I mean, I kind of get that because that's me, which
I
is
get
why
it.
I'm like, God damn it, this is.
But they have this conversation on the bench. She's like, I don't know what you're going to want to talk to me about because it's literally been 10 months and you're ignoring me. I do love the fact, though, that she's playing with Kaita. And Kaita walks over and gives him a handful of dirt. And he's like, I don't want soil. I'm not going to pretend to eat any dead plant matter. We've talked about this, Kaita. And I just like, she's like a year.
He talks to her like she's grown. Like
she's like a year old
Yeah.
and just like toddling around. And I just love that he talks to her like that. And it's so funny.
Because he's just like, no, I'm not going to treat you like a baby.
Yeah.
You're going to be, I'm going to speak to you like a human.
It's just so funny to me. And that's like they kind of talk for a bit. And that's when the orangello incident happens. So the orangello, however you pronounce it. But it's not limoncello because it's based off of oranges. But everyone starts throwing up. And it's like, oh, shit. So Minami, Connor, Maya, and Avery are the only ones who don't end up getting sick out of this whole thing. We also meet Lucrezia during this time, and she's kind of like the caretaker of the villa, and she also has like her nephews that help her out. And she speaks basically only Italian. So Connor speaks Italian as well because he used to vacation here with his family and stuff. And Lucrezia kind of like partially raised him. But Lucrezia's like, you all are stupid. Like, why would you?
I loved her.
this?
I was like, she's like the best.
And so everyone is down for the count after that first night, except for those 4 people. And in the morning, Maya joins them, and she sits at the breakfast table, and that's when she gets introduced to oh my gosh, what's it called? It's the brioche with the like ice cream that they eat in the mornings.
Oh my God, yes.
And
I mean, I want to try this. Like,
she's like, why do I have a slushie? And he's like, I cannot believe you just like shit on Italian culture or Sicilian culture. And she's like, what the fuck do you mean, Connor? And he like plucks up the brioche and is like, eat that. And she's like, do I drink the slushie first or eat the nipple on top of the wedding? And he's just like, oh my God. And then she's talking about how she wants to go to the Greek theater. And he's like, you can't go by yourself. That's not safe. And she's like, I've lived in another country by myself before.
I know, like this, but I don't know. Like, it's not that it's not safe. It's that he wanted to go with her.
He wants.
But I'm not going to tell you I want to go with you because that's too easy. Let me give you the roundabout way that I'm coming.
Yeah, he's just like,
That's what
I need to be there with you because he's a bit possessive and he's concerned about her and stuff. He's like, well, something bad could happen. And she's like, I'm gonna be fine. Like, you need to chill the fuck out.
I struggled with this one. This one I struggled with.
Yeah,
and I didn't hate this story. I struggled with it because I saw way too much of myself. Every time he talked, I was like, God damn it.
So they're getting ready to leave, and Avery's like, hey guys, can I come too? And
I
she's
told
like,
you I love her, even though you don't want to like her. She genuinely is just a nice person.
Yeah, she is. And so then one thing that Conor does while they're there is that people always will make comments about how young Maya looks. And so when they're buying tickets, they say daughter in Italian, and she's like, what does that mean? And then Avery's like, oh, it means daughter. And she's like, you fucking kidding me? And he's like, oh yeah, one children's ticket for you and one of the, and she's just like, I get it, you're separating yourself from me, I got it, you know. They
Katie tells the story with such vigor. She's
I love this book. And so the whole Greek theater thing happens, and Avery's like, you know, like, I still really like Hark, and I think it just was the wrong time, and we're supposed to be together and stuff. And she's like, oh, good. I'm going to leave now. She's like, why don't you two have time together, and I'm going to sneak out. And she's like, that'd be amazing. Okay, I'll cover for you. And she's like, get me the fuck out of here. I can't handle these
Okay, but
two.
here's the thing. This is why I think she would have a great story. Like, you could even spin her off into her own series.
Yeah.
Because she has to have somebody that's like Hark that's not Hark.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I don't know, dude. I think she should have had her. I think she should have her own spinoff. I'm sorry.
We could have
She
Avery's
is
spinoff.
Fucking adorable.
I love Avery.
And I don't think that she did anything wrong. She did not know any of this. She is walking in completely blind.
No, she doesn't know that Maya's the one that she's been in love with. And then we also hear Tamron, when she gets introduced to Maya, is like, I've heard so much about you. And she's like, probably not good stuff. She's like, you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Like,
so
Tamron knows everything.
Yes.
I know Tamron is the only person that Conor has been confiding into at anything.
Yes.
I know Tamron
I
knows.
know, but that's what frustrates me, though. It's like,
Yeah.
come on, dude. Like,
and so the Greek theater thing happens, and then we also get she's been waking up in the morning, she's been swimming laps and stuff, and that's just kind of something she notes that she's been doing. And then she's, you know, one of the things that happens next after the Greek theater, because she's like, okay, this is not what I'm doing. They end up playing like a game of like football outside.
Yeah.
And she wants to go swimming. And Lucrezia's yelling at her and like pointing at her body. And she's like, is this too revealing? Like, what's going on? And Conor ends up seeing this going on. He comes over and he's like, oh, she says you just ate, so you can't go swimming or you'll drown.
I was thinking about this the other night, and I was like, this is not a true story. Why do they always do this?
It's not. It's a myth that's been busted. She's like, that's not real science. He's like, apparently it hasn't met this island yet.
No.
And she's like, well, can you tell her that's not true? And he's like, I will do no such thing. I am not telling Lucrezia she's wrong about anything. And she's like, do I need to change my swimsuit? And she's like holding out her towel, and Hark's like, oh my God, she's in a swimsuit. I can see her body. You know, like, she's like, okay. And she's like, it's not even revealing. Like, I don't know. Like, she's like, and then she's looking at him like, if I would have known my high-waisted polka dot, like little trendy, it was like a hipstery type
Those
swimsuit.
things are super cute. I know what you're talking
is
about.
what is going to turn him on. I would have bought the flimsiest fucking thing I could find on the discount rack if that's what it was going to be. And so then he's like, how about we just don't go swimming and you can come play football with us? And she's like, my football or your football? And he's like, you don't have football. You have like a CTE competition. I'm just like, yes, everything Conor says is so fucking funny and just unhinged in a lot of ways.
You don't have football. Football.
And she goes and plays, and then she's like kneeing people in the groin and like shoving people over. And then Eli's like, no, you're done. The Maya Geddon's out. And she's like, no, listen, the Maya Geddon's not here. And he's like, yes, she is. And she's not allowed to play with us. And then Conor's like talking to her when she's getting kicked out of the game. And she's like, he's just mad because he wasn't going to win. And she's like, he's just mad because we were going to beat him. And he's like, you're on his team. And she's like, well, then he's mad he won't be MVP. And she's just like, he's like, I forgot. And she's like,
forgot
about
how
what?
these people are. Both of them are like that, though.
He's like, I forgot. And she's like, about what? And he's like, about the monster within.
Yes.
And she's like, you're right. She's out, isn't she? Oh my God. And I kind of like, though, that it took, like, her brother was like, get out of here. The Maya Geddon's here, blah, blah, blah. But I like that it's Conor who has to be like, the monster's out. And she's like, you're right. Oh my God. She like listens to Conor about it. But again, they have like this kind of like, he's laughing, seeing her like kind of in an element and being like, fuck, I really like her. This is also when she leaves. So she goes out and she's going to go like kind of hang out in the waves. She's playing with Katy. And she sees Avery go swimming. And Avery makes a comment. She's not good at swimming. Don't go in the ocean if you're not a good swimmer.
No, but a lot of people don't seem to think that the ocean is that like wild. Like,
Yeah,
I don't think people realize how much like even a small wave can take you down. Like I don't think
I
people
want to
like put that together.
Side note, jumping back. After the whole everyone gets food poisoning thing, the next morning Tamron's like, I drank a bunch of wine last night and I'm still drunk. And that's when the doctor had come and got the like the nausea medication for them and everything. And she's like, come tuck me in, will you, Conor? And she's like, it's not the first time you've done it. And he's like, no, it's not. And he like goes and immediately takes her in there. And then Maya's like, he's fucking Tamron. Like, he's fucking Tamron. So that's like one of her first jealousy things. Tamron knows everything about Maya.
I was like, he wasn't though. He was just, that was like their weird little relationship.
Yeah, no, they're super close. And that wasn't like there was nothing sexual between them at all. But that's at Maya's POV at that point is like,
no, I know.
Okay, cool. He's fucking
forgot
Tamron.
about that. But
so fast forward, we're back at the ocean. Avery almost drowns, so she gets Eli and Conor, and they come out and they save her.
Yeah, because don't they go like, where's she been for? Like she's looking
I
around,
don't
like
see him.
She's been gone for a while.
Yeah, so she's like, does anyone know where Avery went? And so then they go and rescue her, and then Conor takes her up the stairs, and she's just watching like.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. Like some of this fucking story, even I was jealous. Like I was like, Conor, put her down. Like,
you need to be with Maya.
Leave that bitch on the side of the ocean. I get you're a gentleman. You can do CPR right there.
Let Axel save her, okay?
Right there. Too many times where I was like, put her fucking down. Yeah, when he was like walking with her, I was like, put her down.
You're like, no.
The sand will do just fine.
So he like carries her, and she's like wrapped up in his arms and stuff, and you're just like, oh, damn
but
it.
she wasn't like, again, she doesn't know anything that she's
No,
coming
she
in
has
blind.
no idea.
She has no clue. She just knows that he invited her to a fucking wedding.
And
now
they're both single still.
Yes, so like,
she's
I
like,
get her throw down 100%.
Yeah,
but
I get it. Still, you're like, no, Conor. And then the next night they do.
Conor's the kind of guy you can't fucking tell.
Yeah,
you have no.
He's
clue.
very stoic.
Yeah, so you're like, does he like me? He likes me. Does he not like me? He doesn't like me. You don't know. Like you're just.
Yeah. So then we get to the next night, which is one of my favorite tie-ins to Deep End.
I was waiting for it. When she started talking about swimming, I was like, is she going to throw Deep End on this one?
We get to throw Deep End in because we get characters from Deep End, and I'm so fucking excited about that. Okay. So they end up at a pasta making competition. And she is paired with Nyota, and Nyota and Maya are doing an absolutely horrible job making their pasta. They keep getting called out as doing terrible at their pasta. Maya is too busy being mad at Hark for being with Avery and like jealous of that to not really know what's going on. Ruin and Eli are doing their thing. Everyone's kind of coupled up in this. Then they have other people who are also in the cooking class. After it ends, we end up seeing that she's hanging out talking to someone, and she picks up like a clip or something like that, and then we find out it is Lucas from Deep End. He says, oh, that's my girlfriend's. And she's like, is he German? Like, what is this accent? And she starts talking to him. She's like, he points out his girlfriend who's talking on the phone. And she's like looking up at Hark, who's like mad mean mugging Lucas from the side. And she's like, could you do me a favor? And he's like, sure. And she's like, can you flirt with me? And he's like, I have a girlfriend. Like immediately Lucas is like, she's right there. Scarlett's right there. And she's like, I have no interest in you. Like, I'm sure you're a great guy. Good for your girlfriend. I need to make this guy mad. She's like, don't make it obvious. But like, he makes it seem like because he's older than me that we can't be together and all this stuff, and is like explaining it. And Lucas is like, I'm down. This is great. So they start kind of like pretending to be flirty. They both like lean up against the wall and like all this stuff. And then he's like, give me your phone and I'll put a number in it. And she's like, just put a fake number in it. Like, I'm not going to contact you. He's like, I'm putting my girlfriend's number in here because she's going to want to know about this. And I made a point about this in Deep End. Scarlett is nosy as fuck. She always stops herself because she's like, this is none of my business. She is nosy as fuck. She wants to know everybody's business.
But the fact
she
that
loves
he knows
to
his
gossip.
girlfriend well enough to know.
Yeah. And Lucas is like, oh my God, Scarlett's going to love this. And so
Katy is the one that's loving it. I hope whoever's watching this, even if you're on Spotify, you have no idea. You can hear her giggle. You can tell she's loving this.
I'm going to have to cut. This is like my two favorite Allie Hazelwoods converging into one. And I just love it so much. This is going to be a clip for TikTok. I just know.
Clippity clip.
Clippity clip, clip, clip. And so, yeah, that's the end of it. She's also like, okay, German guy, whatever. And then she winds up and Connor grabs her by the arm and is like, what the fuck do you think you're doing? And she's like, what do you mean, Connor? I'm talking to a cute guy that's my age. And he's like, you don't know who he is. Like, he could be a murderer or he could like have an STD or whatever. And she's like, okay, why is that your problem? And he's like, you need at least get a photo of his ID so you can run. And she's like, people don't just run background checks on people they meet, Connor. He's like, you can't do it. And she's like, Willie, what's going to stop me, Connor? Do you want to tell me what's going to stop me from doing this? And I just love how she does not fucking back down to Connor. She's always like, you can't do this. She's like, you don't get to tell me what I do with my body. Okay. And he's just like, and so that is like a massive thing. The next night is the bachelor and bachelorette parties. And they spend most of the day getting super high. The girls do. They snuck some weed into the country and they were smoking. Maya doesn't because she's like, I don't really do drugs anymore. And so they're all just hanging out. And that's when she and Minami start having kind of like a heart-to-heart moment. And she's like, Connor, it took so long for me to get anything out of Connor. Like, he wouldn't... And she's like, I just had to keep, like, I spent 10 years trying to extract information out of him about his life.
Would be frustrating.
And she's talking about how, like, his family dynamics and all this kind of stuff. And that's when we get, like, the iconic quote that was like, because one day Connor Harkness decided he wanted someone to know him and he chose me. And that's because she's sitting there listening to all the stuff that Minami's like, I spent years just trying to have him talk to me. To have her be like, he told me all of that in one day of knowing him. So, like, something's different between here. So that kind of reignites her spark of hope, right?
I know, but it sucks to keep getting your heart like, yay, no. Like,
I wouldn't have had it in me to be like that. Maya is so headstrong and so confident in who she is and what she knows that she's like, I'm not imagining this. This was 3 years of my life that was huge. And I know this was not fake. It was not something that was just a passing by thing. Because Connor does say in that last conversation, like, it'll pass. Like, it just give it some time and you won't.
Yeah, I remember that.
You
when
won't
he, like,
love me
basically
anymore.
was like breaking up with her even though they were together.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very much of a breakup speech for somebody that wasn't with me.
Yeah, he's like, if you're young, it'll pass for you and stuff. And so they get back from the bachelor party and the girls are all just like la la la, hanging out, and she's by the pool by herself. And she had been texting Scarlett to kind of give them updates and stuff. She had renamed it to be Hans. And he comes over and is talking to her, and she's just in like a t-shirt in her swimsuit. And Connor's like kind of getting an update of what happened, and then he sees the phone go off, and he's like, absolutely fucking not. And he's like, you're not doing that. And she's like, why, Connor? Why? I just love that she's like, why, Connor? What reason do I have to not do this?
I know. She's a little butt.
And they kind of spar back and forth, and he says, go to your room. And she's like, you don't get to tell me.
I was like, no. I'm a grown-ass adult.
She like looks at him, and she's like, you don't get to tell me. And then she stops. She's like, oh. And so she's like, fine. So then she leaves her phone there. She's like, I'll find it again later. She just walks up, and he like stalks behind her up to her room. And that's when he fingers her in her room.
I mean, that's when I was like, yes, daddy.
Yeah. He's teasing her like bikini and everything like that. And then he's just like, he tells her about how like she's just so tempting and how much he wants her. I know,
because he just can't, like, he wants to touch her. Dude, Katy, this story, I forgot how much I hated this story. This one really bothered me. I forgot how much.
And she's like, that's fine. I don't have to touch you. Like, this is just what we're doing. I do have to touch
you, motherfucker.
She's like, okay. And I think she even asked him to stay, and he's like, no, and he leaves. So that's the first like sexual encounter that they actually have, as other than like the first time in Edinburgh in 3 years that they've had this. Later on, they end up Tiny ends up missing. So there's a bunch of really bad things that happen while they're on this island.
This one's not bad. This one's cute.
No, it's fine. It's just I'm saying that the Rue ends up believing in curses because of how many bad things.
Oh yeah, that's right. But
so the first thing is,
wasn't like the volcano active or something?
So the first thing is that Rue, her dress comes and it's not the right dress, and they're like, no, and then they cannot get them to ship the right dress because they sent it to somebody else. So that's like it's like a custom dress.
Whoever ends up with her dress would be probably livid too, though. So like,
and they're like, Tisha's like, no, you don't understand. It's bad. Like, it is bad. And I, one side note I do want to say, I love Maya and Neota's relationship. Like, their friendship is so funny because they're like the two youngest people there, and they're just like these fucking idiots just doing dumb shit all the time. Neota's like, there's not any good people to fuck here. And she's constantly like, so, the first night she was like, so she's like, I could go for Hark. And she's like, he's mine. Is what Maya says immediately. And she's like, there's a story there. So like she kind of spills everything to Neota at that first night. So I love their relationship. I love that Tisha and Rue are still going strong and everything. And Tisha is engaged to, oh gosh, what's his name? I can't remember. But she's engaged, and they're just trying to support Rue through all of this because they're just like, oh no,
is like not her. Like,
things are not going well. And Rue doesn't like being surrounded by this many people. It's a lot for her. And so she's just kind of like, okay, it's fine. And then Mount Etna starts erupting, and that cancels a bunch of flights. Fun fact about this: when Problematic Summer Romance came out, Mount Etna started erupting again, and Allie Hazel was posting like, "I didn't mean for this to happen. It's not my fault. Mount Etna's erupting, okay?" But so that's making it hard, and then but while all of this stuff's going on, they're just trying to logistically, like, do we get boats? How do we fly people from different airports? Like, how do we get people in here? So Eli's trying to figure that all out. Maya ends up overhearing, like, Connor's dealing with all of the lawyer stuff with Tamron, and all of that's going on. So there's just a lot happening kind of on the periphery, and that's when she kind of has like a heart-to-heart with Eli and stuff. And Tiny goes missing. And she's like, usually what happens is that Rue and Eli just open their door. Tiny leaves and he goes straight to Maya. He didn't do that. And Maya's like, no. I don't know where he is. And she ends up teaming up with Connor to go find Tiny because they're like, we cannot tell Rue, especially. Like, and I don't think they told Eli either. They're just like, we need to go figure this out. Did they tell Eli?
They didn't because this is when they find like the forbidden do not enter.
Yeah. So we in the beginning of the book we learn about Isola Bella, which is this like island out that you can only go in when the tide's out.
Yeah.
And so they're looking all over the beach together. They end up on a moped together and all this stuff, and she ends up seeing Tiny, and it's like stormy and raining, and they see Tiny is on Isola Bella.
Yeah.
And they can't quite get out there, like just walking. They have to swim. And so then they take off their clothes and everything. And Maya's looking down like, I'm in all white. He's going to see everything. Oh, no. And Connor like looks down and is like, not looking right now. And so then they find Tiny. And Connor's going on this whole rampage about what a fucking idiot Tiny is. And then he's like, I take everything back. Tiny's a fucking genius. And she's like, why? And that's when they find this like mangy little puppy that they're going to name Biddy.
Biddy.
And
itty bitty.
But they end up in this like grotto type thing, this cave with like water coming in. And the water's warm because they're in Italy. And she gets in the water and they're like scrubbing off the dirt and stuff. And that's when Connor comes really close to her. And that's when he eats her out. And
because he can touch her, but she can't touch him. Like, this just fucking bothers me.
And they're like floating in the water together afterwards, and they're just hugging her. And then she says, I want to kiss you. And he says, I don't want you to do that. And I'm just like, ugh. I just hate that. And so they end up saving Biddy and Tiny and stuff. And that's kind of, she's having more of these moments where she's like, this watch is upside down.
I know, I saw it and I wasn't going to say anything.
We're like 3 podcasts in. I've had this on upside down the whole fucking time. Anyways. But yeah, she's kind of having these spark moments where she's like, he's going to like actually open up and admit that there's something here. And then he's like, nope, no, you're too young. It's problematic. There's a power dynamic. She's like, I literally have all of the money. Like I have a job. I have access to all the money I could possibly want. I don't, and I'm an adult. I have full control over my body and my consent. So like, fuck off, Connor. And that's like their biggest push and pull that they have the whole time.
He got a lot of daddy issues though.
He does have
his
daddy issues.
fucked him up. So
And they end up going and doing something, and Maya, they're out on a balcony together, and Maya's like, we should dance. And he's like, I don't think we should do that. And she's like, come on, like, let's just dance. And then they end up dancing. She's like, we're not really dancing, we're just kind of hugging and slightly swaying. And that's when Avery finds them, and she comes around and she just looks entirely betrayed, because she just spent all this time dumping on Maya, saying like, I would just want to be with him and I really like him and we're meant to be together, only to find Maya and Hark together. And when she ends up having a conversation later with her, she's like, I should have seen it. Like, I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looks at you.
I mean, it's always easy. Hindsight's always 20/20, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's always easier to see it after.
And this is the night that Eli grabs Maya, because they've been like really cordial with each other around other people, because they just found Tiny and Biddy together. Like, they're like, doing pretty well. And he's like, I've never seen Hark look at anyone like you, and I need to know you're not going to break his heart. And she's like, me break his heart? You're kidding, right? And he's like, no, he's been really messed up since Minami and stuff. And she's like, okay, everything that's happening is consensual. I initiated it. And he's like, just don't mess with him. And she's just like I'm the one messing with him. And so that night she ends up in Connor's room. And that's when they have sex. And she realizes, I think he makes her come like 4 times or something like that. And then she realizes, he's like, tell me to pull out and make you come harder with my fingers, or tell me to do this. And she's like, no, you told me I'm in charge and this is what we're doing. And he's like, just tell me to do this. And she's like, you're not going to let yourself come. Like, because he came in his pants while he ate her out in the grotto. And then
because he's what, 34?
He's 38.
38.
Yeah.
That's a big fucking deal. I'm sorry. Like, once you come at 38, it's very
so
like
it's the funny
coming
thing
again,
is,
but it might not come that night.
When they're in the grotto, she's like, let me suck you off. And she's like, that's what I've been dreaming about. And he's like, no. And he's like, you overestimate my ability to get it back up again. Yeah. And she's like, really, Connor? ED jokes? That's where we're at?
I mean, it's the reason why they made a little blue pill.
She's like, I'm telling you, you'll like it. Like, it'll be good. You don't even have to get it back up. And he's just like, no. Like, he's putting that guardrail up again, right?
Okay, but I gotta be
can't
honest
touch
with
him.
you. Like, I know that, like, it's not impossible.
No,
but
biologically.
Like,
well, she's saying, like, I'll just keep doing it. And it'll feel really good. But, like, Anyway, so she's up in his room having sex with him, and she realizes he's not going to let himself come. And she's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, this is what you're going to do. You're actually going to do this.
I'm in charge, so guess what?
Yeah. Well, so she, this is when he says, I have not wanted anyone as ungovernably as much. He's like, I've never wanted anything more than I want you. Not my dead mother back, not revenge, not financial success. And you're just like listening, like, whoo, Connor Harkness. It's a really, really good quote from him before all this happens, because she's like, if you don't want me, I'll leave. It's fine. I can leave. And then that's when he's like, if we do this, you're in charge. Because she's like, if I'm staying, we're doing this. And by this, I mean sex. We're not dinking around about it. We are having sex. And he's like, okay.
All right.
So then they start having sex again. She comes like 4 or 5 times. And then he's like, I'm not going to let himself come. And then she's like, seriously? So she hops off him and then goes into the bathroom, like slams the door, and she's like staring at herself in the mirror, and she looks down and she sees a glass case that's got like a straight blade razor in it, and she's like, or a straight edge razor, and she's like, fuck off, Connor. Like, you really think that highly of yourself that you can't use like a modern razor? This is what you have to do. And then she looks down and she sees her plaid scrunchie from that night in Edinburgh.
I was gonna say from like a while back.
So she puts it on her wrist and she walks out, and she has like a washcloth to clean him up, and he's still like just sitting there, and he's on his phone, and then he hangs up again, and then he swats her hand away when she goes to clean him up, and she say, really? What are you gonna do with that, Connor? And he doesn't say anything and just like shoves his dick back in his pants, and it's just like, she's like, okay, fuck you. You're gonna jerk yourself off with me all on you after I leave instead? Like, awesome. And so she's like, I'm done. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not chasing you. You've treated me like this. Like, she's like, I can't do this anymore. And so she stomps off, and when she's like out the door, she hears the crash of him throwing the glass lamp and the mutter like, fuck.
Because he does have some serious anger issues he needs to figure the fuck out. Like,
they both do.
I know they do, but they would just, I don't know.
But that's also why they kind of like match in a lot of ways.
I mean,
but that's so she goes on this whole thing. She's like, I have been trying. She's like, you were never going to get out of your own head and accept what we could be. So like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not chasing you. I'm done wasting my life doing this. And she's still like in her head. She's like, I probably won't ever move on from you. But like, what, I can't sit in this like give and take thing. Like I can't just sit here and be like, what are we? And the next day she gets woken up super early. She basically spends all night crying her eyes out about this. And she wakes up to a knock on the door from Eli, and he's like, get dressed, we got to go. And that's when Rue and Eli get married in the early morning hours during the sunrise. And that's when Rue comes over and she's like, thank you for letting me thank you for being part of my family and stuff and like letting me be here. And she's like, you're my second favorite person or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she's like, even more than Tiny? And she's like, I would like to amend my statement. And she's like, I'm third. She's like, wow. All right. And then she's like, I think I'm going to stick around and enjoy the Follies. Like, you guys go ahead. Like, she's like, you guys are going to go get your sex on. So, like, have your sex marathon now. I don't want to be a part of that. And then Connor's like, yeah, I can stay behind and give her a ride. It's fine. And then she's like, okay, whatever. Connor's been wearing sunglasses the entire morning. And Connor is standing next to her after they leave and just staring at her. And she's like, Connor, you can leave now. I'm fine. Please go. And he's just staring down at her with the sunglasses on. She's like, this feels like another game. I'm done playing. Like, this is over. And he's like, just leans down and kisses her. And that's the first time he's ever kissed her. Then he pulls back and finally takes the sunglasses off. And she's just like, what is going on? And she's like, was it because of Rue and Eli and what Eli said and stuff? And he's like, no, it's what you said last night.
It is what she said last night because he fucking needed to hear it. Like,
And so he's like, no, it's everything you said last night. You're right. I've been getting in our way the entire time. I'm not getting over this. He's like, I was stupid.
He hasn't been over it for fucking 3 years.
No.
Like, just shake that fucking guy.
No, and he was like, I was stupid to think that you could ever get over it either. To tell you that I knew your emotions better than you did was stupid of me. And he's like, and I love you.
Yeah.
So then they get to spend like a whole day like touring around Italy together. And they have like a nice like time and they're kind of talking about she jokes about him having here was my one issue I had with problematic. I have some other issues with problematic syndrome. This was I have not had a book trigger me before in terms of my like previous relationship I had or previous issue I had with an ex.
Oh,
but
I forgot about this.
During their sex scene, Connor's inside her. And that's when he says, I would get you pregnant. You would have my babies and stuff. And they don't have protection because she does have birth control. But that was just like a, and that's from my own personal trauma. But I was just like, oh, no. That's not when you reveal your breeding kink. When you're inside someone without protection. It's not when you reveal a breeding kink. Not when you do that.
I mean,
he acknowledges that later. He's like, I should not have said that during that time. Because she's joking about his breeding kink. Because she had asked him while they're having sex, because she's like, I fantasize about sucking you off and like doing other things. And he's like, you won't like what my fantasy is. She's like, just tell me. And he's like, I come home and you're at my house and your stuff's in my house and I kiss you. And she's like, that's it? Like, you just imagine that I'm in your house and we kiss? She's like, what else happens?
That's a big deal for somebody that doesn't like letting people in.
Yeah. And she's like, what else happens? He's like, I don't usually get to finish the vision or the fantasy before, that's it. And she's like, well, what would happen? He's like, I'd take you up to my room and we'd have sex on the bed. And she's like, a bed
like,
is your fantasy? And it's like, he's like, it's because you're there. That's the whole fantasy.
What I just said, dude, like he doesn't let people in. So it's a big fucking deal.
And it's just so sad to read that because it's like, she's like, what do you mean you don't have like a crazy like whips and chains type of thing or like, weird thing you're into? It's just, no, I just want you in my house. I want to come home to you after a long day and you're there. And I'm just like, Connor.
I mean, the whips and chains can come later after we're comfortable.
Whatever anybody wants. Because she's like, I'm into some weird shit too. And he's like, oh yeah. And she's like, I think it's called gerontophilia. And he's like, fuck off, Maya. But they have like a nice, like,
I definitely
together.
am. It's just weird. Pretty sure everybody knows that.
You're like Silver Fox.
Your daddy will do.
The daddy will do.
That is my favorite book, dude. I have to get Katy to read that book. She starts off with the young one and ends up with the old one, and everything works out perfect for her.
I need you to read the Rose Hill series and get to Wild Card.
I mean, I've been trying, okay?
That's
Katy keeps listing off books every fucking time we sit
That's
down.
the ex-boyfriend's dad.
Here's my problem, though. Every time I have decided, just so you guys are aware, what I've decided to do, and one of my other friends knows this, is that every time Katy gives me a book and I finish said book, I get to read a fucking murder book. That doesn't have any sex. All they do is kill people. And that's been making me fucking extremely happy. So I've been kind of a little behind on my books because I've got like a list of books. But every time I finish a book, I'm like, oh, I'm treating myself.
Dude, we're so ahead in books that I think we'll be okay.
To a murder book.
But yeah, so they finally decide they're in love with each other, and he admits it to her that he loves her. And then while they're sitting down, she's like, well, what are we? You know, like what? She's like, I have questions because my brother's not here to do this. And he's like, if it was up to me, we just get married because I know I'm in love with you. I don't need to like.
I forgot about how much I fucking hate the ending of this.
And then he says like, I don't need to date you. He's like, dating is so stupid. It's like trying to introduce yourself to poisons. It's like you just keep increasing
American
the dose.
Thing.
Yeah,
only in America do you
He's
try.
like, I'm sure it's like that in Europe now, but I'm just like, okay,
only in
Conor.
America do you try the water. If the water tastes like shit, you spit it out and you get new water. I don't know why it bothered me.
What the fuck was that
I
accent?
don't fucking know. I don't know. I was just thinking like those goddamn Americans. I don't know, dude. That one fucking bothered me. Because it's like sometimes you can be with somebody for a really long time and think it's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And then it'd be shit.
I don't
and
know.
You need to throw that shit out.
I think I've said this before, but I agree with Conor in that I don't think it takes you long to figure out if you found your person.
No, but there's a reason why 2 years exists, because after 2 years, the puppy face goes away.
Yeah. No.
And then you truly know how the fuck you feel about people.
My parents
They had 3 fucking years of talking. So
Yeah.
by the time it got, you don't need to date. You've had 3 fucking years.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That just pissed me off.
No,
Like, I was about to be like, rah!
So I agree with this. So when I started dating my husband, it was during COVID. We couldn't meet up and we mostly dated virtually, like via Zoom and stuff.
But you got the feeling of each other for a long time before.
So we had a bunch of time where we were building up an emotional connection before we had a physical one, which is what happened here, because they had one physical encounter that didn't go any further, but then they spent 3 years getting to know each other.
Yep. Which is why I don't think you can make that fucking comment, because you had time to get to know each other.
Yeah. But he's like, I just don't like dating and it's stupid. And she's like, okay. So, cause she's like, well, how would you, if we were in Europe, how would this work? And he's like, we'd be mutual friends or coworkers, and we'd like go out with friends, and then we'd realize we had an attraction for each other and stuff. And she's like, so you want to go on a bunch of supervised dates together? And he's like, no, I want to get married, but you're 23, almost turning 24, and I don't want to scare the shit out of you by telling you that. And so she's kind of like, okay, like we're together then, like we don't need to put a label on it. That's just like, I guess, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. Like, and then they go back, and that's when Rue and Eli tells everybody they got married, and they're like, Eli says like, I know we dragged you all here under the false pretense that you get to see us get married, right. And honestly, you all can fuck right off. And they're all like looking at him like, okay. And then they all start passing Neota money because there was a bet on when they would just get married instead of dealing with it. And then she's even like, Tamron, the exchange rate was better when we made the deal, so you can pay me in euros, but I'm expecting it to match. She's like, Conor and her aren't ready to tell anybody yet that they're together. Conor ends up having to, they have sex together afterward, and he like pulls her into her room and everything. They sleep together for like the actual full first time they sleep together, where they're both mutually into it and all that kind of stuff. And then he has to fly off, and she texts him and she's like, hey, the number of times that I've had a sexual encounter with you and then wake up to you gone is like, if I had a nickel for every time, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. And he's like, you're not funny, Maya. And he has to go help Tamron with the whole thing, and he ends up in doing some other deals and stuff, so he doesn't go home. And they're just like video chatting and like sexting, and then at one point she sends him a nude, and he's like, you can't send me that kind of stuff. She's like, what do you mean? Did you not like the picture? And she's like, you can always delete it. He's like, I'm not fucking deleting that picture. And just they kind of have still more of their like long distance relationship they were previously in. And at one point she's talking about how her house doesn't have heat in it or AC. think it's AC. She said her AC is about to go out. He's like, my house has that, and it has security, and it's safer, and you should go there. And she's like, sure, I guess I'll go there. So then she stays there and just climbs him like a tree the second he comes home. And we find out that she sees his phone lighting up while they're in Italy still, just like boom, 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 boom of all the stuff that he has. And he's like, I can work on this. He's like, no, I will work on this because this is not okay. I can't have this be such a big deal that like I don't have a life outside of this. And so they're home. She's living with him at this point, and they end up at Rue and Eli's. I think he makes his risotto that night, and he says, I lured you like an ant to a sugar trap to get here. And she's like, whatever. And that's when Conor and Maya finally like reveal that they're together. And Minami's like, well, have we talked about how like this could be a little problematic? And then they're like, yeah, we've been down that road already. And then they're like, well, we knew you had a crush on him and stuff. And Connor's like, it's more complicated than that. And she's like, there's a lot of flashbacks. So they like tell her everything and stuff. And then the end of this book, they're having sex in the sunroom. And they finish and she shivers and he's like, let me get you something to wear. Because she makes a joke of like, he's like, I'm trying to restrain myself from asking you to marry me. And she's like, what's holding you back? I love a marriage proposal before bed. And then, can you tell how many times I've listened to this audio?
So many. I'm over here like, I know everything you're talking about, but I'm like, okay.
Vivid detail in my brain.
The detail is like.
And he leaves. He's like, let me get you something to wear. And when he comes back, he's not bringing anything for her to wear that she would think of, and he has the ring, and she's like, of course it'd be the most perfect ring ever. And he's like, I just saw it in an antique store, I thought of you. And he's like, it doesn't have to mean anything, like it could just mean that I want to marry you and that, you know, that we're together and stuff. And he like goes off and she's like crying, and he's like, Conor, and she's like, yes, or he's like, yes, and she's like, you haven't even asked me the question yet. Because she's like, were you this nervous with Minami? And he was like, no. And she's like, oh, you thought she'd say yes. And he said, no, I knew I could survive her no. And you're just like, aw. The star's like, I need a murder book after this. And then that's when the book ends. And she says, I fell asleep with his ring on my finger. I did need a murder book after this.
And then he slit her throat.
Oh my God. I love this book so much. I said, this audiobook is
no
my
joke.
Why
I have to have a murder book after this.
I'm a romance.
I get tired of the romance.
Not me.
Just like I get tired of the smut. I'm like, I need a book that doesn't have smut or romance. And then he walked in and she was like,
I have to say, with each Ali Hazelwood book, I'm just like, yes, all the smut, more smut. Yes, you're doing great, sweetie.
You're not doing terrible, sweetie. I'm just I'm old and my poor brain doesn't love it all of the time.
I did have one not in love. It was Love on the Brain call out. So in that book, there is a thing where it talks about him taking her galaxy leggings off. And the internet had a heyday with this. It's just like, she's wearing galaxy leggings. Like, oh my God. So that was like the joke that came out of that book. And there's a point where Minami makes a comment in this book, because this is written after that came out and the internet had its reaction, that Minami's talking about how she used to get made fun of for her galaxy leggings. And I was like, Ali Hazelwood, you are hilarious. Like, I love that you listen to people talking about your book and you're just like, let me throw this in here. This book, I think, is like, she does really well interconnecting all of her books.
Yes.
This book, I think, is a shining example of how we tied in so many of her books together.
Yes.
And it's just, I just ate it up. And I read this in like a day and a half. I remember I had
ate it up.
I had a dentist and orthodontist appointment like back to back, where you have to like get the wires off, go to the dentist, get the wires back on.
I never did that. I told my son, I don't give a fuck. Just clean his teeth.
I had one of those days, and I had like 30 minutes in between appointments or something. So I was like sitting in my dentist's office, like parking lot, just like reading this book as fast as possible. No, I love it. It really does rival Deep End for me, and I think it's because I love Conor and Maya in the audiobook so much. I think the Deep End as a physical read drew me in more than this book did, but oh my God, the audiobook just fucking nailed it for me. And again, I know people don't like Deep End, and I fucking love Deep End.
You're trying so hard. I just was laughing in my head thinking, so the person that was worried about Deep End, problematic summer romance, may not be your thing.
Oh my gosh. But no, the smutted in this book for me.
Yeah, no, this book was good. This book hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
Partially because I am Connor. Don't touch me, I'll touch you.
I love Connor. Connor was so funny because I liked him in Not in Love, but I was like, when it was announced it was Connor and Maya, I was like, ooh, this is going to be good. And I was like, this is really fucking
Katy
good.
loved it way too much.
I loved it.
All right,
You
what's
can
your
tell.
rating on this?
I was like, you can tell by how much I loved a book by how much I'm screaming and my face is turning red.
It was like, what are you rating it?
5 stars for me. The audiobook, 5 stars for sure.
Yeah, overall it was definitely 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I had a problem with this book at all. It was an easy read. It was nice and gentle on the soul. It does not hurt your feelings as much as it should hurt mine. No, it's definitely 5.
Yeah.
Across the board. 5 across the board.
The only thing I really had a problem with was that little triggering moment, and that's my own personal trauma coming back in. So, but I don't think that was a moment that needed a trigger warning. And Connor also acknowledges not the best time to bring that up. So, yeah, if you are watching us on YouTube, I'm going to throw up a slide where you can follow us on social media. We have TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and we are on Facebook as well, if anybody uses Facebook anymore. I do, but the algorithm sucks. Anyways, if you want to follow us there, and if you have another Allie Hazelwood you would like us to cover, I think we only have 2 that we don't have planned right now on the schedule for us to cover. So if there's one you were like, just dying for us to cover, please let us know in the comments, and we will see you next time.